ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app. Sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week for Tea Time Wagers. Good friend and colleague, Mr. Brady Kannon. Go follow him at Las Vegas Golfer and, of course, on the Sports Grid. This week, the RBC Canadian Open. The headline, Rory, plus 450. I have it here at 425. Is it that easy? Eh? So no Scottie this week, so the PGA's breathing a lot easier as we're 1 week from the U.S. Open and the carnage. And OMG, that rough. You hit it in the rough, you might as well wave the white flag. I'll take my bogey with pride there, but we'll get into that, of course. Shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download the app. It is free. And, of course, AtlantaSteaksandSeafood.com. Terry Smith, go follow him on Facebook. Steaks, chops, seafood, appetizers, wines, you name it, he's got it. Just go to the website, AtlantaSteaksandSeafood.com. Tell him JD from ECSI sent you. So without further ado, Mr. Brady Kannon.
Mr. Dawson, good morning to you. Boy, what a run of golf this is. This is the heart of the season, man. I mean, you and I both adore the Masters, but I mean, you know, you have the legend trifecta, Byron Nelson, Hogan's Alley, Jack's Place. What a performance by Scottie Scheffler. Now we go on a national open run. The Canadian Open, the United States Open, next month the Scottish Open, and then, of course, the Open Championship, you know, mixed in between an iconic place like Colonial Country Club. Just a really good run of golf right now.
Well, let's start last week. We were talking early in January, Scottie with a hand injury at Christmas. We're waiting for Scottie to be Scottie. Doesn't win the Masters. Rory wins it, and it was maybe the year of Rory. And then here comes this machine that is not human, back to that Tiger-esque, just dominating. Jack said it best, I go to a tournament, I go obviously to win the tournament, but you're better than these people. So just navigate the course, get the lead, and win. And Scottie's back to that surgical point, it looks again, Brady.
It's really something. And I don't know if I've said this before on your show, but 25 years ago, I used to become frustrated with Tiger because I was wanting some drama. And it's like, gosh, Phil, Duval, Ernie Els, can you guys put a little pressure on this guy? Can we see something magical? And no, Tiger just, a slow death by paper cuts, just beat you. And he never faltered. He never, he was a great front runner, never came back to the pack, never, like Rory at the Masters. Oh my gosh, there's, a ball in the water. Everybody's in play again. That never happened. And I used to be bummed. Oh, Tiger won again. But then you reflect back and you go, gosh, we were watching something really outstanding, one of a kind, once in a lifetime type stuff. Generational, I guess, because now it seems the next generation is in the form of Scottie Scheffler, and there's that same kind of pattern. that when he gets out in front, just forget about it and appreciate it. And yeah, it sucks the drama out of some of these golf tournaments, but I mean, the PGA Championship, we saw it, and now at the Memorial, we saw it. And I was joking with some friends on Sports Grid. It's like, is golf the hardest sport in the world to bet right now, or the easiest? You just bet on Scottie. If Scottie's in the field, I don't care if it's even money, 2-1, 3-1. It's real easy. You just bet on Scottie. But yeah, it is pretty cool. I still haven't gotten there with the U.S. Open on him. He's now 3-1 or less. A good friend of mine, Nick Bogdanovich, I was asking him, I said, Nick, are you on, he mentioned, he goes, Scottie, unbelievable last week. And I go, yeah. I go, are you on him yet for the U.S. Open? And he goes, no, nothing pre-tournament. He goes, I don't bet him until like after the third round. And I was like, that's a great way to approach Scottie, because pre-tournament, he's, plus 250, maybe plus 350. Then after day one, he's plus 200. Then he's even money. And, if he's in the lead or a shot or two off the lead or something like that, and he's even money or minus 150, okay, then you bet him, because then, with 4 days of golf in front of you, you don't know if 3-1 is a good bet to make. But with 18 holes left and Scottie at minus 300, that's a great bet to make. So I thought that was a very wise and, consider the source, a Hall of Famer, Nick Bogdanovich, to give me that little piece of advice.
And I've been following some people on social media. I know a few people that will take that approach, but they'll just wait till after the first round. So Scottie, a couple of weeks ago, it backfired. Scottie had an amazing first round, and then he lapsed the field. But my point is, there's certain names, Brady, Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy. We even saw it at the PGA with John Rahm. John Rahm was like six back, I think, going to Sunday. He was only plus 2,100. They're not going to give us that huge bite at the apple with a Rory or a Scheffler. Even, you don't want to run to the window and play the plus 250 or 300s. I get that. I really do. But
it's too risky pre-tournament, in my opinion, because they could injure themselves. You just never know what'll happen with 4 days of golf in front of you.
Yeah, and you're sitting after round one or even moving day after the cut, and you're 8 back, and they're only giving you 5-1, and you're sitting there saying, Brady, pre-flop I could have had Scottie at 3-1 even, and now I'm 8 shots back, and you're giving me only 5-1. What gives?
Yeah, I know, and I can't remember, and I don't remember. It's been a while, and I don't remember seeing how these things unfolded. But I imagine it was probably similar with Tiger, because the pricing was similar with Tiger. He was 2-1 to win a major. I believe there were tournaments when Tiger was even money to win, before they even started. And Scottie is right in that territory. I also like that he's a great guy. And some people will say he's vanilla and boring to watch. I get that. He's not. It's not necessarily flashy. It's not like watching Greg Norman or Jordan Spieth, or Phil Mickelson, where it's kind of swashbuckling and all over the place. It's just steady Eddie. It's like a surgeon. Split the fairway, hit the middle of the green. Sometimes hole a 10-footer. Sometimes 2-putt from 30 feet, and just. I mean, at the Memorial, he made 4 bogeys the entire week. 4. Let's see, on the weekend, I think he made 1 bogey. His round on Saturday was bogey free, and I think he made 1 on Sunday. Just unreal.
Before we get to the RBC, we've been seeing videos of what's in store next week, and carnage everywhere. I mean, they're talking about the roughs, and we were talking for the first 10 minutes about Scottie Scheffler, almost like a machine. He's just like that even keel. If you just followed him and didn't have a scoreboard, you don't know if he's -5 or +5. you just have no idea. Now you're talking a course where there is going to be some. Hey, I'm -2 after 3, and I'm giving high fives, and then I just did back-to-back snowmans here. If this guy mentally doesn't fit this course, like, how are you going to beat him?
Oh, no, I've been asking myself that. Oakmont has many times over been called the most difficult golf course in the world. Not overstating that. That's truly what they have called it many times. And I am not I'm confident we're probably going to see a version of that again next week. I've done some early looks at this golf course. The way they built it is amazing. The greens are Augusta-like, if not faster. It's just diabolical, but not tricked up either. It's gettable, as Johnny Miller once proved. When you think about that, how remarkable that was when he won the U.S. Open and shot a 63 at Oakmont on the final day. And we kind of kid Johnny about how often he likes to bring that up, but it really is that remarkable. And I think everybody will understand when we see, Angel Cabrera in 2007 won the U.S. Open at Oakmont with a winning score of 5 over par. Dustin Johnson won the U.S. Open at Oakmont in 2016 with a winning score of 4 under. And the next closest, the runner-up was 3 shots back at 1 under. There was only like 4 or 5 guys in the field that week that finished under par. The top 5 guys on the leaderboard, everybody else was over par. So that's how difficult it is. And so you ask yourself, who's going to beat a guy like Scottie Scheffler on this course? Nobody. And maybe that's the answer. But again, I'm not going to go there, and I'm going to heed the advice of Nikki B. And I'm not going to bet him pre-tournament. I don't think so, because again, when it's plus 250, plus 350, if maybe I would bet him at 5-1, which Rory is this week, but even that is pretty short. You have to risk a lot of money to have any sort of significant return at 3 or 4-1. And again, like I said, he tweaks an ankle, God forbid, something weird. He gets arrested, right? Pulling up to the golf course. Anything can happen, and you're out a pretty good chunk of change. But then you go into Sunday or Saturday, and yeah, the price is maybe not as good, but it's probably not a whole lot different either.
No.
And now he's in position where you're like, okay, he's not in 20th. He's not in 30th. He's in second, or he's in first, or he's in third. And now I'm going to bet him. And that's the way I'll probably handle it. I do have a few plays in pocket already for the Open. None of them are on Scheffler yet. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's, I've been thinking about this too, Jeff. We saw it with the Memorial. We saw it with the PGA Championship. We saw it with the Masters. I really love a golf tournament where the winning score is between 10 and 12 under par. And I think when you have a golf tournament where that's the winning score, birdies and eagles are possible, but so are double bogeys. And at the end of the day, somebody wins with, 8, 9, 10, 12, 11 under par. Oakmont is going to be much different. And I don't always love when there's just like no chance to make birdie or eagle, but it is kind of going to be nice to see maybe some golf course can finally rattle this man. By God. That would be something if Scottie Scheffler made a snowman, that would be worth the price of admission, just to see something like that. Right. Because that is extraordinary.
Well, maybe some pizza and beer money on Scottie not to make the cut for pizza.
I'm not rooting against him, but it would be nice to see him not be so unflappable maybe for just a minute. And as much as I enjoy that, but I want to, maybe Oakmont will humanize him a bit.
I can't wait. Obviously, we'll be back here next week for the U.S. Open on Father's Day weekend, the 3rd major already. It just, you blink, Brady, and this season is over.
but we're in the thick of it. So enjoy it while we've got it.
RBC Canadian Open. I have DraftKings to the right of me. Rory McIlroy plus 450. Ludwig Oberg plus 1400. Corey Connors will have a country behind him at plus 2,000. Shane Lowry plus 2,200. Taylor Pendrith plus 2,800 with Sam Burns and Robert McIntyre. Sung Jae Im plus 3,500. Luke Clanton plus 4,000 will be paired with Rory. Initial thoughts as we get ready to tee off tomorrow.
Luke Clanton, by the way, the very decorated amateur out of Florida State who has now turned pro and will be making his professional debut. And I believe he sacrificed an invitation or an entry to the U.S. Open because he would have been in the field as an amateur, but by declaring his professional status, he's no longer qualified unless, of course, I guess he wins this week or something like that, which he could. I figured he would probably be a popular play, and he is pretty popular, and he's that good. He's already had very good finishes on the PGA Tour coming in. This is a new course. So, we got a new course not too long ago with the Philadelphia Cricket Club for the Truist Championship. That was really cool, an old classic. This is not an old classic. It's a newer course, TPC Toronto at Osprey Valley. And I guess it's actually not in Toronto proper. I think it's about an hour out of town or something like that. But it looks to be a really good track. It was built in 2001. And then a pretty heavy renovation in 2023, where they made it more difficult is what they wanted to do. They made the bunkers deeper. They made the rough thicker, added some undulation to the greens and kind of beefed it up a little bit. So, a lot of TPCs are resort style courses that you and I play on a regular basis. And I think they added some teeth to this one, which is good. The winning score proposition bet here at the Superbook in Las Vegas is 17.5 under par, which I think is respectable. If we get something like that, that's a pretty we're not into the 20s. But, I don't think it's not necessarily Memorial either, where, the winning score is 9 or 10 under par. It's going to be somewhere in that in between. Fairways are pretty wide, which is cool, and I think it's going to be driver heavy. It's a par 70 and it's 7,400 yards. That's a long par 70. And again, you've got wide fairways. So I think just on the surface, without having ever seen this golf course before, it looks like it's going to cater to the bigger hitters. And I'm not going to go 100%. A lot of people have just kind of dived into that storyline, and I'm playing Keith Mitchell and I'm playing Alexander Toasty and I'm playing all the guys that bomb it. And I'm like, well, you know what? Some of these short knockers that hit it straight can do pretty well on these tracks too. We've seen that. We see that all the time. So I didn't necessarily go straight bomber. I looked for efficiency off the tee. Yet length is going to help, I believe. And I don't think it's going. I think accuracy is not a huge thing. I think everybody's going to be able to hit the fairways this week. Long iron play will be critical because of the length of this golf course. Most of the approach shots are going to come from roughly 175 yards or more. 3 of the 4 par 3s are 200 yards or better. So you throw that in, and again, approach shots are 175 to 200 plus. The par 4s are 450 to 500. So it's pretty big boy golf. But again, you got to temper it a little. It's a TPC. We know those are pretty stock and barrel, type courses. I think, and finding correlated courses is tough, Jeff, because we don't have any history at this track. I mean, we have very limited history. It's hosted some other events where Taylor Pendrith has played a number of times, and Jake Knapp, and some of the guys that have been up in Canada playing on a professional level have played this course before, but nothing really to go off of. But you look at some of the similarities. It's got a bent grass Poana green surface blend, which they also have at Detroit Golf Club, which has pretty wide fairways with tree line. So I use that as a corollary. Colonial Country Club, which we just saw a couple weeks ago, I use that because the yardage is similar, and it's also a par 70. Let's see. I used TPC San Antonio and TPC Craig Ranch because they're both TPC courses that are driver heavy. And what else did I use? I also used Memorial Park, home to the Houston Open since 2020, because it is a driver heavy par 70. So I took little bits and pieces from the makeup of TPC Toronto and said, okay, here's some other courses that have those characteristics. And that's the direction we went.
Well, I'm going to hand you the mic. I'm going to get you to the first tee box and get you to your outrights.
Okay, Mackenzie Hughes, the Canadian, went with him at 45-1. Actually, I found him higher at 55-1, and I've seen the pricing on Hughes go up a little since early in the week. So you might find 50 or better at this point. I have for years, I typically don't bet any or many Canadians at the Canadian Open because basically they never win. It's like the pressure on the Canadians in their National Open is greater than on the on the second 9 on Sunday at Augusta. The pressure on Canadians in their home course is very intense. Mike Weir never won this thing, and all the great Canadian players. Nick Taylor in 2023 was the first Canadian to win in 54 years. So Mackenzie Hughes is the only Canadian on my card, but I think he's kind of more of the under the radar Canadian. Taylor Pendrith and Corey Connors are getting a lot of attention, and rightly so. They're probably the best 2 Canadian players, but Mackenzie Hughes, not that far off, tremendous short game, and he has done very well in recent Canadian Opens with a 7th, a 14th, and an 8th place finish. So I like the under the radar nature. I like how he's played in his last 7 starts. He has 3 top 10 finishes. So I think Hughes could play really well this week, and who knows, maybe he'll win it. Alex Noren, I really like this pick. I think the timing could be right. 55-1. You think about this guy. He was off for 7 months with a pretty brutal hamstring injury, tore a tendon in his hamstring. And he comes back to the PGA Tour. We know he's a very good player, right? He's won around the world multiple times, never won on the PGA Tour, kind of like a poor man's Tommy Fleetwood. Both excellent players, Ryder Cups, you name it. This guy comes back to the PGA Tour at the Truist Championship at the Cricket Club, then plays the PGA Championship, and then plays the Memorial. Could you have a tougher 3-week stretch of golf courses? And he's made the cut every time and finished top 20 at the PGA. Guy's playing well. And now he gets a little bit of a breather in Canada. And you look at the correlated courses, he's finished top 10 twice in Detroit, top 15 at TPC San Antonio twice, and top 5 at both the Byron Nelson and at Houston. So the course happens to fit, I believe. I think he could be live, Alex Noren. And then Matty Schmid, fairly popular pick this week, was just runner-up at Colonial and really striping the irons. He hits it a long way, not necessarily accurate, but that may not matter with these wide fairways, but really killing it on the irons. He is 7th in this field over the last 24 rounds for strokes gained approach and number 1 in hole proximity from 175 to 200 yards. So I think, and again, a runner-up at Colonial, one of our correlated courses. Oh, by the way, Colonial was his 4th top 10 finish this season. So Matty Schmid is on a pretty good run right now. And then Davis Riley, playing pretty good golf right now, also has a win and a 4th place finish at Colonial. Last 24 rounds, he ranks 10th in this field for strokes gained tee to green, and also 10th for strokes gained putting on the Bent and POA blend. And oh, by the way, just a few weeks ago, he finished runner-up at the PGA Championship. So playing pretty well. And then Justin Rose got him at 85-1. I've seen as low as 70. I've seen as high as 95. I like 80 or better. I think 70 is a little low on Rosie, but I think 80 or better is a pretty good price. Also a winner at Colonial who's done tremendously well at that course, has a top 10 in Houston. Also his last 2 visits to the Canadian Open, not this golf course, but his last 2 trips to Canada, he's finished 8th and 4th. And I kind of like the situation for Rose. He has to withdraw from the Truist, misses the cut at the PGA, and then plays the Memorial, where he's won before and had a couple of really good rounds there. Then goes to Canada, a tournament he's done very well at and that he loves. And then next week is the US Open, where he's got his only major. So I think the comfort zone right now for Justin Rose on familiar tracks, places he likes to be, places he's won. I think the vibe is pretty good for Justin Rose right now. And oh, by the way, this is a guy that finished third at Pebble Beach this year, eighth at Bay Hill, and second at that place called Augusta National back in April. So guy, I think, is live just about any time he shows up. And then finally, a long bomb on a former Florida Gator, a rookie on the PGA Tour this year, Ricky Castillo, at 120-1. And I think he's a good fit for this golf course. I don't know if he's going to win, but the guy looks like he's the real deal. And his iron play and work off the tee has been outstanding. So much so, over the last 24 rounds, he is fourth in this field in strokes gained tee to green. He's also 30th on the long par fours, 450 to 500 yards, and 27th in strokes gained putting on bent and POA. And I also thought this was interesting, Jeff. Just last month, Castillo finished fifth at the CJ Cup Byron Nelson, one of our correlated courses, TPC Craig Ranch, bent grass greens. Back in January, he finished 15th at the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines, which has Poana greens. So the guy's, now this is a blend of bent and Poana, but the guy's done very well on those two surfaces. Again, maybe he's not going to win it, but I really like him, for a flyer on a win, and then certainly a finish position bet as well.
Yeah, and I added that to all your outrights here. Ricky Castillo, top 40 was plus 125. Justin Rose, top 30, plus 150. Davis Riley, top 30, plus 160. Matty Schmidt, top 30, plus 170. Alex Noren, top 20, plus 200. And, of course, Mackenzie Hughes, top 20, plus 188.
Yep, absolutely. Played the – and I kind of like the – I think I'm going to start doing that. And we've got some more markets that have opened up in the last few weeks to us here as far as finish positions in Las Vegas. And so I kind of like staggering it like that. My shortest shots, if I'm getting plus money, I'll play them for a top 20. The Davis Rileys and what have you at 60, 70, 80-1. Maybe I'll try them for a plus or for a top 30. And then some long bombs like Ricky Castillo, play them for a top 40, where you're getting reasonable plus money on all positions.
You came up with one head-to-head this week.
Yes, I did. And Kurt Kitayama, who's been getting some love here locally at Circa. The guy bombs the ball, so he fits the bomber profile. We know he's a very good ball striker. Putting has always been his Achilles heel, but I like him. And last time I looked, I saw on one store the price had changed in Kitayama's favor. I'm not sure what it is. Minus 115 over Wyndham Clark. And this is as much as a play on Kitayama as it is a play against Wyndham Clark. We successfully, by the way, 2 for 2, I believe it was last week in our head-to-head matchups. Went against Wyndham Clark with Ricky Fowler last week and won that one by like about 15 shots. Let's hope for more of that. But Kitayama just pummels Wyndham Clark in the stats for me this week. I also thought it was pretty telling that Kurt Kitayama is ranked 97th in the world golf rankings, and Wyndham Clark is ranked 23rd in Kitayama's favor. So, it's no secret that Wyndham Clark is kind of, struggling right now. And so, again, I think Kitayama could be a good look this week. And I think Wyndham Clark, unfortunately, I expect to continue to struggle. Where I talked about the good vibe for Justin Rose coming up on a U.S. Open and courses he's won at and being familiar with and whatnot, I think the U.S. Open coming up for Wyndham Clark, a tournament that he won just a couple of years ago, could be a little bit unnerving, because he knows his game is not in good shape and he knows he's going into this major championship next week. So how does he treat this week? Is he trying to work on his game? I think that could be possibly in his head a little bit. as he's trying to get his game worked out. And that could be enough of a distraction to get us to the winner's circle with Kitayama.
Well, we can't wait again. RBC Canadian Open this week, the U.S. Open next week, the third major on Father's Day weekend. It's a special weekend, of course. Can't wait for the carnage there, but we got some work to do, obviously, this week. And the scroller's been going the whole time, Brady. Everyone knows at Las Vegas Golfer to follow you. They can also follow you at golf.com, GolfBet, PGA Tour, and of course the Sports Grid. But I saw a tweet before we went live. Congratulations. Where can we find you now?
Yeah, absolutely. Mentioned you on there, in addition to East Coast Sports Investors and Sports Grid and golf.com. You can now find me at CBS Sports, at CBS Sportsline. Thank you very much. Doing some written work on there currently, and probably some on-air work coming up soon, but just officially got underway with them over the weekend and put some stuff out on the site on Monday and Tuesday. And we're off and running, going to be doing golf work for them, and then some football work this fall. So very excited, honored. I mean, anytime you're associated with CBS Sports, that's pretty cool.
Well, we can't wait. Sports Grid schedule this week?
Yeah, be on a couple times later today, 7:30 Eastern, and then again 10 p.m. Eastern, talking RBC Canadian Open, and a couple shows over the weekend. Yeah, Sports Grid all the time, certainly. And that's, I mentioned the CBS Sportsline stuff. Sports Grid will still be the bulk of my, on-air work for sure, at least for the time being. So really excited. And I have to give a shout out to them. They were so gracious and supportive and congratulatory for me adding another gig here with CBS, and never blinked an eye that there was going to be any sort of conflict. And that's the type of organization they are. Proud to be a part of it.
And lastly, where can they find your written work?
Golf.com, a column up there for this week's outrights with a little bit further detail than we discussed. You can also find that on my Twitter feed. And then coming out tomorrow at golf.com and also CBS Sportsline, I'll have my early U.S. Open picks for this year.
Well, we can't wait. Again, congratulations. Glad that we could be a small little part, as this is year number 3 for us, and I hope 10 years, 20 years from now, when we got less and less here, we'll be going back to June 4th and CBS Sportsline. So
sounds good.
For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only Mr. Brady Kannon at Las Vegas Golfer. We wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy the RBC. We got a major coming next week. Turn on your notifications. Never miss a show. We'll see you soon.